I am Dr. Larry Hatcher. This is Psych 302, Computer Applications in Data Analysis. We are going to take a look at Jamovi exercise 01001, installing and using Jamovi. This is a 39-page tutorial that will walk you through the various aspects of Jamovi, how you use the features in Jamovi, how you do statistical analyses, how you save your files, and just about all the things that you will need in our Psych 302 course. I am not going to go over every single page of this tutorial. It is a tutorial after all, but I'm going to go over the first few pages to kind of clarify what you will and will not do. And then we'll skip to the end of the tutorial and I'll try to clarify what it is exactly that you'll be handing in as your completed exercise. It begins with a red box here at the top of page 1. This is the highlighted version that Hatcher will go over in class. I've highlighted the most important things for me to touch on in this video so that I hit on the most important concepts, and then we can skip those concepts that you'll teach to yourself in the course of completing this tutorial. How does it begin? Introduction. Jamovi is the free open source statistical application. It's easy to install, easy to navigate. As a bonus, most of its statistical output is already formatted in APA style, ready to be pasted into Word documents. This chapter shows how to quickly get up and running with Jamovi, how to install the app, how to create your first data set, how to perform your first data analysis. You learn most quickly by doing, so this chapter is a tutorial. Follow its simple instructions, and by the end, you'll know just about everything you need to know to create data sets and analyze them. Still on page 1, I mentioned an alternative textbook that some of you might want to refer to. My intention is that my guides will provide you with enough information to allow you to perform the assigned analyses, complete each exercise. However, if you need more detailed guide to using Jamovi, you can use the free book by Navarro and Foxcroft. And this is in fact free. It's a PDF download that you can easily access at the location at this link. I'm still on page 1, and we come to this issue. Are you going to use the installed version of Jamovi or the cloud-based version? I designed this course so that all exercises can be completed during our class meeting times in an SVSU computer lab where Jamovi has already been installed on each computer. By the way, I realize that many of you watching this video are not taking the class that meets in person in a classroom. You're taking it online, asynchronous, and that's okay. You will be able to have access to Jamovi yourself for reasons that will become clear in a minute. So I designed it so that you can complete all these exercises in a computer lab where it's already been installed. However, if you have to complete any Jamovi exercises outside of class time, you'll either have to install Jamovi on a computer that you own or use the cloud-based version of the application. In choosing between the two, I strongly recommend that you use the installed version rather than the cloud-based version. Cloud-based version works, but in a minute I'll talk about some of the downsides of using the cloud-based version. If you decide you are going to use the cloud-based version, it's available at this link. Although the cloud-based version will allow you to perform all the analyses that we're going to do in this class, it has some important limitations, including the following. First of all, it may not be available. Here's the thing. Jamovi is free and open source. It's basically a bunch of college professors that got together and thought this would be a good idea, and they do make it available in the cloud on servers. But servers cost money, and they can't make it available for free to just everybody who wants it all the time. It is available for free when the servers are available, but if there's a bunch of people using it at the same time that you want to use it, you may not be able to get to Jamovi on the cloud. That's what I mean when I say it might not be available. Furthermore, in order to make it available to more people, your online session with Jamovi might be limited to just 45 minutes. That'll be enough time to complete some exercises in my class, but not enough time to complete all of them. And you probably don't want the sort of Damocles dangling over your head. So these are among the downsides of using the cloud-based version. And I'll have more to say about this cloud-based version versus installed version in a minute. What exactly do I have to do? What page is Hatcher on? He's still on page 2. If you're a student in my course, you should complete all the activities in this tutorial that you're able to complete. Among other things, the tutorial will tell you to open a Word document, perform some analyses in Jamovi, copy and paste your output into the Word doc. You'll then upload your completed Word doc as a Canvas assignment, and I will grade it. Now, by the way, I've already mentioned Word doc. Be aware that you don't necessarily have to use Microsoft Word as your word processing application. When you upload a document exercise for me, it should be saved either as a Word doc or as a PDF or even as a text file. And you probably are familiar with a couple of different word processing applications that allow you to save files that way. If you want to use Google Docs, that seems to work just fine as well. So anyhow, you're going to do these exercises. You're going to paste your output into some kind of doc and upload it. You can skip those activities in the tutorial it tells you to do. You can skip those activities that the tutorial tells you not to do, as well as those that obviously don't apply to you. For example, if Jamovi has already been installed on your computer, you can skip the section installing Jamovi on your computer and instead begin the section starting the Jamovi application. So we have a red box here. What does this say? Skip to page 3 if you're using a computer in this lab. For those students of mine that are taking the class in person in a computer lab, we already have Jamovi installed on those computers, so you can skip this, but I will go over the highlights of this section for those that do need to install it. Installing Jamovi on your computer. If Jamovi is not already installed on your computer and you intend to install it, first step is to go to the official Jamovi website that offers the free download. Here's the address that will take you to that website. Jamovi can be installed on computers using Windows, Mac, Linux, and Chrome OS. It cannot be installed on iPads, but iPad people can still use the cloud-based version. This section shows how to install it on a Windows computer. And again, I'm not going to read all the instructions. Most of you folks have installed applications on your devices previously. This kind of takes you step by step on what you do to install it on a Windows device. I am on page 3, toward the bottom of page 3, starting the Jamovi application. All right, this is where the tutorial will actually begin for most students. Students using Jamovi installed on a computer do follow the instructions in this section. Students that are using the cloud-based version of Jamovi, you can skip to page 4, and I will be at page 4 in about 1 minute. Okay, if Jamovi is installed on your computer, if you're using a Windows computer, you'll start Jamovi the same way you start any application. Click the Start icon in the lower left corner of the screen, scroll down to the J section of the resulting list of programs, open the Jamovi folder, and click Jamovi. This is illustrated in the following screen capture. Those of you that have used Windows before know what I mean. Clicking Start, revealing all the apps, then scrolling down and clicking the app you want, Jamovi in this case. Students using Jamovi installed on a computer, you can now skip to the initial Jamovi interface on page 5. Students that are using the cloud-based version of Jamovi, you'll follow the instructions below. If you're using the cloud-based version of Jamovi, if Jamovi is not installed on your computer and you don't intend to install it, you'll instead use the cloud-based version. To start Jamovi using this approach, click the following link or just paste it into the address box of your browser. It will produce a window that looks something like this, welcoming you to the Jamovi cloud. You click Get Started, and it'll produce the following screen. This was as of last September. Since then, I see that they've actually offered some other alternatives to people. Basically, if you want to use the free version of Jamovi, you have to create an account using an email address or identify yourself in some other way. Those of you that don't want to take a chance on running out of time or being unable to get into the Jamovi in the cloud, you can pay for a subscription. I certainly don't require that any of my students do this, but if you want to put yourself at the front of the line, you can have a subscription for the semester, and you don't need to worry about those limitations with Jamovi on the cloud that I described earlier. I'm on page 7, toward the bottom, page 7. What does it say? All students, those using installed Jamovi, as well as those using cloud-based Jamovi, continue following the instructions below. Hatcher will skip to the red font note on page 22. Now, let me say this. I'm about to skip a whole bunch of pages, but you will not. You will follow the instructions beginning here and on the subsequent pages and do the things that it tells you to do. This is a tutorial. It'll give you directions, and by the time you've worked your way through these pages, you'll know how to do the most important things in Jamovi. So I skip, but you don't. You will do the initial Jamovi interface, specifying the number of decimal places, and so forth. You will complete those tasks on your own. And I wanted to point out a few more things in this tutorial that are important to point out. I had made a note to myself that said skip to page 22. I just had a couple of red notes here that I wanted to bring to your attention. Look for red font alerts like this. Several places in this tutorial, you'll see that I have something presented in a red font. In this case, it says exercise alert. If you've not already done so, this is a good time to pause, create a Word document with the heading described earlier, copy the descriptors table you've just created, and paste it into the Word document that you'll eventually upload. After I created this tutorial and read through it, it occurred to me that a lot of students would feel kind of unclear as to what they are actually supposed to do versus what is kind of a suggestion that's being made, but not something they actually have to do for purposes of this exercise. So at various places in the tutorial, I put in red font reminders. Yes, I do want you to do this thing. So be aware, look for this red font notes, and you won't miss any task that you're actually supposed to complete and submit to me at the end once you've finished the tutorial. Another note to Hatcher, skip to page 39, which for all practical purposes is the end of the tutorial for your purposes. There will be a zillion more things for you to do. You will do the things in this section. Drawing on your Jamovi output in a Word document. I show you how to do it. Copying, pasting Jamovi output with the Windows snipping tool. I show you how to do it. You'll perform all the tasks that are on these pages. But I'm going to skip to the end to kind of summarize what you will have done by the end of the tutorial. Okay, I'm on page 39 now. Page 39, summary. What you'll hand in for this exercise. This has been a long tutorial. This section summarizes what you should include in the Word document that you'll upload to Canvas to complete the exercise. You can create your document using any application you like, but the final version that you upload in Canvas has to be saved as either a Word document, as a PDF, or as an RTF. That's rich text format file, which just about any app is capable of creating. It'll contain 4 tables or figures that you've copied and pasted from Jamovi. In each case, you should just copy tables or figures from the Jamovi results panel that appears on the right side of the Jamovi interface. In other words, you should not copy the entire Jamovi interface that includes the analysis options panel on the left side. And note, I do not expect that to make any sense to you right now, but by the time you've worked your way through this tutorial, you'll know what I mean when I say results panel versus the analysis options panel and all. Still on page 39, here's a summary of what your document should include. It should have this heading, like so. It should have a copy of the output from the Jamovi descriptors procedure that provides means and several other statistics for the signatures and friends variables. That doesn't make any sense to you right now, but it will by the time you've gone through the tutorial. You should have copied and pasted this table using the Jamovi copy tool as described in the exercise. In this table, the mean for friends variable should have been circled and labeled Q1. In other words, it should be similar to the table that appears on page 23 of this exercise. Item 2, it should have a second copy of the same descriptors table, and this one should have been copied and pasted using the Windows snipping tool or any other screen capture app you want to use. This table does not need to have anything circled on it. It should be similar to the one that's on page 25 of the tutorial. Third item, it should have a copy of the descriptors table that provides means and other statistics for the signatures variable, with statistics provided separately for the no group versus the yes group. In other words, it should be very similar to the descriptors table that appears on page 36. And it should have a copy of the bar plot that illustrates mean scores on the signatures variable for the no group versus the yes group. It should be very similar to the bar chart that's on page 37. Now, this is the end of the tasks that you must complete for this exercise. In other words, you will have worked all your way from page 1 to here, page 39, and that's as far as you need to go for this exercise. However, make a mental note. Later in this course, you'll probably need to use the appendix that begins on the following page to download data sets. For the current exercise, you are going to create your own small data set according to the instructions provided in this tutorial. But with some of the exercises you'll complete later in the semester, you will download a bigger data set that I have already created. And how do you download a big data set? By following these instructions. On page 40, we have a little 6-page appendix headed Appendix Downloading Jamovi Datasets from Canvas. No, this is not a required part of the preceding exercise. It's just an appendix that shows how to download and then open Jamovi datasets that I'll make available to the class in the modules section of Canvas. So make a mental note that it's here. You will wind up using this appendix later in the semester, although not for this exercise. So, what was the name of this exercise? Jamovi exercise 01001, installing and using Jamovi. This very document is available for a download in Canvas. And that is the end of my summary of what you'll do in completing this Jamovi exercise.